Virginia Democratic Senator Tim Kaine joins us now. Senator, I know you want to talk about the debt ceiling bill, and I'll get to that in 1 second, but you're on the Foreign Relations Committee, so I do want to get your take on this new pattern of attacks on Russian soil. The White House has made it clear that it does not support any attacks by Ukraine or anyone else on Russia. But is that realistic, considering what Russia has been doing to the people of Ukraine, innocent civilians targeted for more than a year?
Well, Jake, that is the U.S. position, and it ought to be the U.S. position, but Ukraine is defending itself. Russia has conducted an illegal invasion. Russia is engaged in massive human rights abuses. We just came from a Senate Foreign Relations Committee hearing about the human rights abuses being committed by Russia. And so, you know, this raises concerns about escalation, but Ukraine is trying to defend itself, and I'm not going to stand here and be the judge of people trying to protect their homeland from an illegal invasion.
Let's turn back to the major news on Capitol Hill right now, the debt ceiling. You clearly have some major concerns with a provision added to this bill to greenlight the controversial Mountain Valley Pipeline from West Virginia to Virginia. It's championed by a Democratic senator from West Virginia, Joe Manchin, who's running for re-election. You plan to file an amendment to get rid of it. Are you going to vote no on the entire bill if your amendment fails?
Jake, that's moving a couple of steps down the board, and I haven't got there yet. I'm just insisting on an amendment. You correctly point out we're trying to do a debt ceiling deal. The White House, in their negotiation, added a completely unrelated provision. There is nothing about greenlighting the Mountain Valley Pipeline that has anything to do with the debt ceiling, and I think it's very bad policy. I think every project should have to go through permitting processes, and if it gets approved, then you can build it, and if it doesn't, you got to make it better till you get approved. But what Congress shouldn't do is pick one project in the country and give it a green light and exempt it from all permitting processes. To build a pipeline, you got to take people's land, Jake. You got to take their land, and people in Appalachia, they don't want to give up their land for this. If there's a process that says the nation needs it, that's one thing. But Congress exempting the operators of this pipeline from the normal permitting rules is just not something I can support. And I've made it plain to my colleagues and to the White House for months and months and months why they would add this without talking to me about it is beyond me.
Well, isn't this the Joe Manchin Re-election Protection Act? I mean, isn't that the idea?
You know, you'd have to ask them. I mean, look, they did work with Joe on this in the Inflation Reduction Act, and they promised him, hey, look, we're going to work to make it happen. They tried to add it to the defense bill. They tried to add it to, you know, a year-end appropriations. What about a permitting reform bill? Put it in that and do it in regular order. There is bipartisan support for permitting reform. That's where something like this should go. What you should do is make the permitting reform process better and then make Mountain Valley go through that, and they can do it. They're a big company with resources. They can do it. But to exempt it completely is just something. This project runs through two states. My colleague and friend Joe Manchin thinks this is good for West Virginia, but I think forcing Virginians who don't want to give up their land to have to give up their land under eminent domain for something that will do them no good whatsoever, Congress shouldn't be forcing them to do that.
So President Biden has been known to watch this show. Is there anything you want to tell him, given that he didn't call you to give you a heads up? You can say something to him right now.
President Biden should watch this show, Jake, because it's a good show.
Thank you.
Look, I mean, I am a loyal President Biden guy. I endorsed him in the Virginia primary. I campaigned hard for him. I'm working every way I can to cooperate with him. This is a big deal in Virginia, and we were sort of cut out of it. I would love to, hear from the White House any reason. I mean, I did get a call from John Podesta to say, hey, look, okay, I get you why you're upset, but I didn't get a good reason for why they would do this without us.
All right. Senator Tim Kaine from the great Commonwealth of Virginia, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it.
You bet.